What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Barely Pregame Show. I'm Ivan Vargas. Week 8 in the NFL, and the Bears are going to be taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Hopefully, it's a better game than last week. Last week, we're going to go ahead and recap that one real quick, and I mean real quick because there's really nothing much to be proud of, except for a short little running back named Khalil Herbert. But last week, the Bears got ripped, destroyed 38-3 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Justin Fields did not have a pretty game whatsoever. 3 interceptions, he was sacked 4 times. That put him at 22 for the season, and that's by far the most for any rookie, and I'm sure it's by far the most for any quarterback. The Bears giving up 26 sacks so far on the season. That's way too much. They're going to have to figure that out, especially with the Bosa coming in. Another Bosa coming in, Nick Bosa. Him and the San Francisco 49ers defensive front is just, they're still a solid defensive front, although they are having a little bit of trouble with penalties in their secondary. Looking at what they did last week, you got to do something more. You weren't able to, you weren't in the game whatsoever from the jump. You're down 21-0 in the blink of an eye. You have to find a rhythm. You have to find some type of groove. And I know Matt Nagy won't be on the field whatsoever. He won't be communicating with the team at all as he's in COVID protocol. So it's going to be up to Chris Tabor. It's going to be up to Bill Lazor. It's going to be up to guys like DiFilippo and Sean Desai to go ahead and shoulder the load and carry it. I don't know what much of a load you're going to have to shoulder with Matt Nagy being out, seeing as some of the majority of the deficiencies of this offense can be blamed on him and his scheme. But nonetheless, the Bears took a shellacking last week. Moving on from that, like I said, the Khalil Herbert was probably the only bright spot in that game, and he's been the only bright spot for the past 2 weeks as the Packers came in the week before into Chicago and took a game from the Bears. And I mean, they took it late. The game was pretty close. The Bears missed opportunities. That seems to be the theme with their playmakers is missed opportunities. And in the Packers game, as well as in the Bucs game, they just couldn't stay on the football field. The offense can't stay on the football field. That's a problem. You got Cole Kmet dropping passes last week. I know it wouldn't probably be the difference in the game, but at least you get Justin more time on the football field. At least you get him in some type of a rhythm. At least you can hang your hat on something. But if you can't make plays, Darnell Mooney was the same way last week. If you can't make plays, you can't stay on the football field. There ain't nothing you could do. You're not going to beat majority of the teams in this league. Let's go ahead and move over to this game against the 49ers today. We'll start with the injuries, the Bears injuries, the big one today, Khalil Mack, excuse me. You got 2 Khalils on this team. Khalil Mack will be out with a foot injury, and that's going to be huge for the pass rush. You'll have Robert Quinn, I believe. Akeem Hicks is questionable. You'll have a little bit of help on that line for Robert Quinn, but Khalil Mack, a huge blow to the Chicago Bears. And, for me, looking at how this pass rush has been, and they're tied for second in the league, I believe, in sacks, you need to continue that thing. You need to make sure that unit knows it's going to still be relied on you to go ahead and get to Jimmy G. Getting to Jimmy G today is going to be a huge key in a Bears victory. But moving on to the questionable guys, you got Akeem Hicks, like I said, he's questionable. Deshaun Gibson's questionable. Jakeem Grant, Sam Kamara, and Jesper Horsett, all questionable. And for the 49ers, you have Maurice Hurst and Javion Kinlaw that will be out with a calf and a knee injury. Got a couple guys doubtful. A lot of guys on that defense for the San Francisco 49ers are hurt. And it's going to be a huge factor in this game because their defense is good. I mean, their offense struggles. Their offense is similar to our offense. It struggles. They don't have these giant big plays down the field. They don't have big plays at all, really, but they can run the football. Even with all the injuries that they've had, they could still run the football. Eli Mitchell will be probably leading that along with Trey Sermon. As far as that defense goes for the Niners, attack the middle, I think, for the Chicago Bears. The Bears need to continue their theme of running the football. Khalil Herbert will be there. You have Damian Williams back. I know they said David Montgomery is looking better. He's obviously not up to speed after that leg injury, but he's coming back. He's working his way to getting back. So you're going to have help on the horizon, some more help on the horizon in the for that running game. Right now, you got 2 defensive tackles out for the 49ers. Attack the middle of that defense. Really attack the middle of that defense with the run, and attack the middle of that defense with your tight ends. Cole Kmet needs to step up today. Cole Kmet needs to have a big game today for the Chicago Bears. It's time. A big drop last week, like I had mentioned earlier in the show. Cole Kmet is a guy for me. If he could get going, if he could find him and Justin could find some type of rhythm, if he could, work himself open in the middle of the field, he's a guy that could really feast in this offense and really help out your young quarterback in Justin Fields. They just haven't seemed to connect. I know we're going to point to the lack of reps with the first team, and that's a huge, that's a huge reason why there's not the chemistry you're expecting right now in week 8 of the season. But you've been playing 3-4 weeks now together in the first team offense. Chemistry needs to come, and quite honestly, you need to just make plays like the plays that I'm talking about. These balls that have been put in the hands of the receivers, I mean, in the perfect spot that are being dropped, these things come back to haunt you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't address it right then and there, if you don't figure it out, in practice the next week, if you continue to have these, you're going to continue to struggle as an offense. And I just feel like you're leaving a lot of points on the field, even against, like last week was a wash. You got your ass whooped. The Packer game, you were in that Packer game. You're just leaving plays on the field. You're leaving points on the football field. Settling for field goals, you can't do that this game. You cannot. If you get into the red zone against the 49ers, put the ball in the end zone. You can't leave this team any type of room. Like I said, they're struggling just the same as you. But if they're able to put the ball into the end zone and you can't, they're going to come out with this victory. Focus on attacking the middle of that defense with 2 defensive tackles out for the 49ers. Doubtful is D Ford, outside pass rusher. That's going to be huge. And I'm not going to – inside linebacker, Al-Shaair. I don't want to butcher his first name. I think it's Aziz. Yeah, Aziz Al-Shaair. He's out with a concussion after last week's loss to the Colts. And you have Trent Williams, questionable. I'm sure he'll end up playing with the ankle and the elbow. And another defensive lineman, Samson Ibukam, he's out as well. Like I said, for the Bears offense, attack, keep running the football. Keep running the football. Use both running backs. Khalil Herbert, if he gets to start again, I wouldn't be shocked. He's doing a great job for the Chicago Bears. Just a hell of a run, like one cut go. And the explosion through the hole for me is what really caught my eye early in the preseason. Like I went to a preseason game, and I also went to a couple of training camps. And just watching Khalil Herbert work, you're like, man, this guy looks comfortable. He looks like he belongs. And he looked like he belonged from week 1 of training camp. And, for him to come out here in the past couple of weeks and really carry the load for the Chicago Bears with Damian Williams being out with COVID, and obviously with the big blow with David Montgomery being out for as long as he's been out, having a guy like Khalil Herbert has been a blessing, because it could be a lot worse, guys. It could be a whole hell of a lot worse if we didn't have somebody doing something. Right now, I feel like the Chicago Bears are doing the right thing, focusing on running the football. The problem is that their offensive line can't seem to figure it out in their pass protection. And that's evident by the 26 sacks that they've given up so far this season, 22, on Justin Fields. And some of that is on Justin. Some of that is on Justin needing to understand where he needs to slide his protection. Justin needing to understand, where he has to go with the ball, not holding on to the ball so long, finding his escape routes, understanding where he needs to go if everything breaks down. I'm not going to put a lot of blame on Justin Fields as much as I put a lot of blame on just not having guys prepared. There's guys that aren't prepared on their offensive line. Sam Mustipher is just overmatched. I was pulling for Sam, partially because I like Notre Dame, partially because I like, who he is as a player or as like a person. Watching him in the last half of that last season, he showed me something. Then he's talking about him getting bulked up, but you know what? Something's missing. I don't know if it's an attitude or just, you became too stiff lifting all those weights in the off season or what have you. But it's just something's not there with Sam Mustipher. There's no comfort level with me and Sam Mustipher. He's constantly getting blown into the backfield, constantly looking lost on plays that, you're the center of the line. You're the captain. You're the captain of that line. You can't look lost and bewildered, in multiple plays during a drive. Even it's not necessarily during the whole game. He's looking lost and bewildered on multiple plays during a single drive. You can't have that type of incompetence. I guess I have to say you can't have that type of incompetence from your center. He has to run the show. So Sam Mustipher looking just unprepared. You're gonna have, I think you have Elijah Wilkinson at right tackle today. Lucky Lefty on the smoke fellas mentioned it yesterday. He put Alex Bars at guard and put Wilkinson at right tackle. Wilkinson wasn't doing too bad. At right tackle. You had a guy in Pig Simmons last week, just completely unprepared, overmatched, was getting beat time and time. They had to switch. And I mean, you could put Alex Bars at tackle if you want, but the reason why he was putting Bars at guard and Wilkinson at tackle was because he was going to go ahead and move James Daniel back to center. And I think if you do that, you're gonna have some real success, not only in the running game. You're gonna have more success in the running. You're gonna have more success in the passing game because you'll have a guy at center who understands where he needs to put guys, understands what he needs to do to relay to his quarterback in order for him to go ahead and set up his offense like he wants. And I think James Daniels right now is just he's doing all that's asked of him, right? Playing out of position. His center, he should have been a center. You had Olin Kreutz mentioning, a couple of years ago that if he was a few years from now, if he was playing that center position, he'd probably be the best center in the NFL. And right now, I think we need to go ahead and see if that's the truth, because Sam Mustipher isn't doing the job. There's too much pressure coming through that middle to where Justin Fields gets flushed one way or another, but there's no time for the play to develop downfield, right? There's none. So for me, there's got to be a boiling point with a guy like Sam Mustipher. When is that going to be? Are you going to wait till Justin gets smacked by a middle linebacker or by a defensive end, blowing his ass, or defensive tackle, blowing his ass up back into the backfield? And like when is the boiling point with Sam Mustipher going to be? And I just feel like if today isn't the day, if he continues today to just not show any type of drive, not show any type of nastiness, push, fight, it's time to make a decision. It's time to make a move. And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he figures something out today. But you're gonna have a lighter load, like I said, with two defensive tackles for sure out, and another defensive lineman that's questionable. You're gonna, maybe find some success against the B team and the C team, but something's got to give with Sam Mustipher. If he can't prove he could do it, get him the hell out of there. Looking at the Bears offense, 1788 for total yards, 30th in the league, 101 points for. That's 30th in the league. 4.4 yards per play. That's 40th in the league. Tied for ninth. Or no, excuse me. Fifth in the league in rushing, 131 yards. 124 in pass. That's dead last. It's a lot of dead last for this offense. Not a good offense. Not a good offense at all for Coach Nagy, Coach Laser. It's just every coach on that staff. You could. I mean, obviously, it all falls on the head coach, but every coach on that staff, and I'm talking about from both staffs. It just seems to me everybody deserves a blame. Every single person. Like, we can't just continue to beat the drum on one. Everybody who is in that collaboration deserves a finger pointed at them for how bad this offense has been managed, has been run. The bright spot, like lone bright spot is you rush for 131 yards a game, but when you're only running the ball, you become very one-dimensional, don't you? So there's teams that's waiting for you to make mistakes. You saw how the Bucs played you. The Bucs were done in the second half. That game was over in the first half. The Bucs were just coasting, running out the clock. Even on fourth down, even when they tried to punch it in the end zone, didn't seem like they even cared to really put the points on the board. It just seemed like they were going through the motions. If I get tackled, cool. If I get into the end zone, cool. They were done. They were done. You had no shot. You have no shot with an offense that's run like this. And hopefully it gets better. I mean, there's only one way to go, and that's up. But right now it is piss poor. If you look at the defense, they're at 19th in the league in total yards, 6th in points against. They're giving up 5.5 yards per play. That's tied for 11th. 8 turnovers. That's tied for 15th. They're 8th in the pass and 23rd in the run. That pass, the reason why they're 8th in the pass is that pass rush. I know they're going to have Khalil Mack out. You have Jalen Johnson doing some good things. The safety play is the biggest red flag on this defense. The safety play and the tackling from the safeties, just the positioning overall from the safeties, the decision making from a guy like number 4. You have to be able to hold yourself accountable at a certain point, and you got a bunch of guys trying to hold him accountable, trying to hold that defense accountable. A bunch of guys that played on this team. I'm gonna go ahead and just Lance Briggs, Alex Brown, guys that are proud guys that love this team still, that don't want to see half-ass play on a team they gave so much to. So when you got a guy like Lance Briggs, a veteran, like a former player, a guy who's been there like Lance Briggs, telling you, hey man, you got to do better. You can't just run at the mouth. You had a situation, I believe, with I think it was Shannon Sharp and DK Metcalf, where DK Metcalf went off at the mouth, and then he corrected himself, respectively, and realized, hey, you know what? I should strive and hope that I have a career like Shannon Sharp. You know what I'm saying? I hope that I could have a career like a Lance Briggs. That's where your mindset needs to be, especially when your performance on the field doesn't match your mouth, right? Doesn't match your talk. So Twitter fingers or not, you got to go out and perform on the football field. Eddie Jackson, so far, he hasn't done it. Heart or not, he hasn't done it. A lot of people question his heart. I questioned it sometimes. It's you have to go out and prove it. Talk is cheap. Your fingers your Twitter fingers are cheap. Go out and prove it. Hit somebody. Show me something, and maybe people will stop talking about you. Maybe people will stop talking about you if you go out and actually do your job. Looking at the 49ers offense, they're 27th in the league in total yards, 25th in points for, 16th in yards per play, tied for 9th in turnovers. That's not good. 19th in the pass and 12th in the run. So it's not the best offense either. Like I said, they struggle with big plays. They struggle with getting big plays down the field. They're without their tight end. I feel like both teams are similar to each other, very similar to each other. I know Jimmy G, it's been a lot of talk about whether it will be Trey Lance this week or Jimmy G. I think Kyle Shanahan reinforced the fact that he believes that this is Jimmy G's team, even though I feel like Kyle just doesn't want to say that he's questioning. Obviously, you don't want to throw your quarterback under the bus, especially when he's playing for you, right? He threw a bad pick last week in that Colts game that really sealed the deal for them. I mean, it was a sloppy game. It was in a downpour in the rain. No excuses. You had Carson Wentz making some bad throws as well. No excuses. You gotta figure it out. But this team has been decimated by injuries, and as a head coach, you don't want to throw all that blame on your quarterback, lose your quarterback, and then you see your younger guy coming in and thinking, man, if I make a mistake, is my head coach going to throw me under the bus too? Am I going to be? So there's certain steps you take in this situation. Everybody knows Trey Lance is on the horizon. I think Kyle Shanahan just wants to make sure that he has everything set up for him that he can in order for Trey Lance to be the starter. And I'm talking about he's given Jimmy Garoppolo every opportunity to go ahead and screw this up. And so far, the Niners aren't looking that great. So they're going to have to, as a team, look for them to be giving Trey Lance, if he's healthy enough, some opportunity at quarterback today so they could actually see, hey, man, what could we do with this guy moving forward if Jimmy Garoppolo, if we decide to make a decision on Jimmy Garoppolo that he's not the guy and we want to try out Trey Lance this season. It's a lot of ups and downs for this offense, similar to the Bears. Like I said, the best thing that they do is running the football. They're 12th in the run. Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, able to hold, carry the load with injuries to that running back position. I'm just trying to think about the running back right now. There's been so many guys running through my head that was hurt, but they lost their top running back in the beginning of the year. And it was kind of a question of what they would do. And Elijah Mitchell has kind of answered that call, done a decent job. Like I said, 12th in the league rushing. Their defense although is number 2 in the league in total yards. Their defense is no joke still. 13th in points allowed, tied for 5th in points per play, 4th in turnovers, though. They don't get a lot of turnovers. They're 5th in the pass, 20th in the run. Not a lot of turnovers for this team. And I think that's been a part of the issue. They don't help their offense a lot. An offense that needs help from their defense. They very much so. If they were able to get some interceptions, flip the field, put that team in a better position as far as their offense is concerned, I think you start to see maybe a bit of a different team. Maybe they get another win. Maybe they pick up another win and they're not on a 4-game losing streak. But, easier said than done. I need Justin Fields to protect the ball. Like I mentioned, they're not good at taking away the football. Justin Fields gave up 3 interceptions last week. He's given up a lot of turnovers this season, putting the ball on the ground a lot. And I know some of those are backside pressures coming in and strip sacking them from behind. But nonetheless, you need to protect the ball, young man. And I feel like today it would be unfortunate if you continue to the trend of putting the ball on the ground. Errant throws, even though whether it's miscommunication or not, turning the ball over to this 49ers team changes the entire complexity of the game. I feel like giving this team, if you play the game straight, you keep the ball on your side, you don't turn the ball over, no stupid plays, make sure tackles. I really feel like the Bears could come out with a victory in this ball game. You have to be able to get pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo if you're a defense, and like I said, protect the football if you're the Chicago Bears on offense. And that brings me to my keys to the game, and I already mentioned a couple earlier in the game. The first one, attack the middle of the defense. Attack with the run, attack with the pass, attack the middle of that defense. 2 defensive tackles out in Kinlaw and in Hurst. You're gonna have an opportunity to get a second-tier guy in that middle that quite possibly if and I know it's easier said than done this season, and he hasn't really shown any type of a push. If Sam Mustipher can handle the middle, you can find some great success today. You could possibly score some points. Like I said, El Shair is an inside linebacker. He's going to be gone. Like, this defense has taken some shots, has taken some blows in the past week and a couple weeks prior, to where this team isn't the same type of you don't know what they have as far as their depth, but as far as their starters, they're down a couple guys. They're down to their second possibly third string tackle and linebacker. You're going to find some success. You got to be able to hit open guys in the middle of the field. You got to find some room if you're Cole Kmet. Make sure you're checking down. You got an opportunity with 2 run. Like I said, Khalil Herbert in the pass as well as the run. He's just electric. The guy is just electric. Damian Williams is not a bad back as well, although that COVID stint really took away from playing time. Right, I was expecting him to get most of the carries against Green Bay, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's out. He's not playing. Maybe a blessing in disguise. You find out who Khalil Herbert is, but continue to attack the middle of that defense. Run the football at this defense. Attack with your tight ends. Attack those linebackers in the middle. And also the second key to the game: put hands on Jimmy G. You're tied with Minnesota for number 1 in the league. I think you have like 24 sacks. You're tied for Minnesota with number 1 in the league with sacks. You got to continue to put pressure on, even without Khalil Mack. And I know Khalil Mack, he just draws so much attention, helps out so much on that defensive line. It's going to be hard, but you got guys like Travis Gibson. You got guys that should be able to, right now, at least cover so Robert Quinn could go ahead and hopefully get some pressure. I like the way Travis Gibson has been playing. Although, with Khalil Mack, he's not going to be on the football field a lot, but when he has been, it's been pretty impressive. Hopefully he can have a breakout game today. I know Kenneth Davis, our boy on the Understander podcast, he's mentioned a Mark Anderson type. The Bears need a Mark Anderson type. I think Travis Gibson could be that guy. I think he's he's athletic enough. He was a guy that played out of position in college, but out of position in college so he could learn how to play coverage. He's a natural pass rusher, so I'm expecting, if Travis Gibson is the guy today, I expect big things from him. I hope that he has a big game, because that would be huge moving forward, because you don't know how long Khalil Mack is going to be out. And finally, like I had mentioned before, number 3, playmakers need to make plays. I'm talking about Cole Kmet, talking about Darnell Mooney, talking about Allen Robinson. At a certain point, Justin Fields, even I'm gonna go ahead and put Justin Fields in there. You have to be able to make plays at a certain point. I know we could blame the coaches, we could blame you have to be able to make plays. You have to be able to execute when the play is there. Because as much as we complain, and rightfully so, as much as we want to say point the finger, and rightfully so, at certain things that are being done with the coaching staff and with this organization, at the end of the day, at a certain point, playmakers need to make plays when they're presented to them. Dropping passes that will change keep the drive going on 3rd down, 4th down, that can't be. You can't have that shit. You have an opportunity with a team on a 4-game losing streak to come up with a victory and end the streak of your own. So, in my opinion, you need to make plays if you're the playmakers on this team. Just don't go out there. Don't try to do too much. I don't want you putting the ball on the ground, like I said, but do your job. It's pretty much, it comes down to do your job. The ball's in your hands. Catch the football. Keep the ball on your side of the with your team. Don't go ahead and put the ball on the ground. Don't go ahead and throw careless interceptions. Just play smart. Make the plays that are presented to you. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and give you my prediction, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for this part of the show. I like the Bears in this one. I really do. I don't think it's going to be a air it out type of a game. I really think it's going to be an ugly game. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully this Bears offense figures something out with Matt Nagy away from the team and no communication whatsoever. I'm going to go 15-11. I had called that before. 15-11. I think this one's ugly. Justin Fields, so far, I need him to not turn the ball over, and I keep saying it, but that's just what it is. You cannot turn the ball over in this league. I'm expecting at least one turnover today. I'm expecting the 49ers to get at least a one turnover, whether it be a fumble recovery or an interception. But I expect the Bears to be a lot better as far as the passing game is concerned, as far as converting those 3rd downs. I look for the Bears to attack with the run, like I said, but also complete passes off play action. I want to see more Justin Fields under center. And I think if you could find a balance between your running game and you constantly going into shotgun and trying to pass, I think you might find some success. Like I said, there's guys just missing on this offense. And I know, there's plays that are out of the ordinary and that just kind of kill the rhythm, and there's all this stuff, but there's guys just missing on offense at times. And it's frustrating. It's like one big play could change the game. One big play can keep your drive going. One big play can bring you momentum and really put your team over the top. And it's just not there for the Chicago Bears. I look for the Bears to go to really control Jimmy Garoppolo today. I hope that even without a Khalil Mack, they understand that Jimmy G isn't that fleet of foot. They continue, but I hope they blitz a little bit more today. Maybe flush him out of the pocket, send some guys up the middle, right at him. Just throw him off his mark, and Jimmy G will put the ball in your hands. I really feel, last week watching him in the slot, I thought I could trust him more than I could trust Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz had this ugly floater of an interception. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. But then you look at Garoppolo and you're just like, damn, dude, like you're the same freaking way. You know what I'm saying? You're the same way. You could put the ball, like you'll put the ball in somebody else's hands just as fast as a guy like Carson Wentz would. And it's just really confusing at what the Niners are going to do moving forward. But for the Bears, if you could go ahead and put hands on Jimmy G, it's going to be a good day for you. All right, guys, like I said, 15-11, 4.5 points. 4.5 points. I'm just giving the Bears 4.5 points, whatever the score is. I like 15-11 just because it sounds like it's going to be a nasty, ugly game today. Two good defenses, two good running games, passing games. Playmakers need to make plays, and if they don't, it's going to be a long day. All right, guys, I'm Ivan Vargas. This has been the Barely Pregame Show. I'll see you in the post. I will be having the all-day football show here in 30 minutes with Marco Velasquez if he's here. Well, maybe he's here. But yeah, we'll have that in about 30 minutes with the all-day football show. I'll be back with the Barely pregame show at the half, breaking down what the hell's going on with the Chicago Bears. Till the halftime, I'm Ivan Vargas. You've been watching the Barely pregame show on Sports Zone Chicago.